Yoga teachers want to learn how to easily and effectively cue yoga poses. I'll be sharing my favorite method for how to easily cue yoga poses in this video. If you haven't already, hit that subscription button and the notification bell to be notified every single time I release a new video sharing yoga teaching tips. My favorite method is using the method of breath, action, body part, and direction. The breath talks about breathing cues, so using words like inhale and exhale. Action words are words like reach, stretch, lengthen, open, extend, push, ground. Body parts are your body parts, so your hands, your feet, your arms, your glutes, your hips, your shoulders. Directions are up, down, left, right, forward, back, and landmark cues. An example of this is inhale, reach your arms up. It's important when cueing that you actually cue your students into the pose, cue the pose, and then cue your students out of the pose. So those three things are what you need to be doing when you're cueing. Cueing your students entering the pose, cue the pose itself, and then cue your students exiting the pose. This is a big mistake I see a lot of teachers do when they don't actually cue the transitions between poses, and they'll just say, now we're going to come into downward facing dog, or now we're going to come into high lunge. Well, how do you get to the pose and how do you exit the pose? So make sure you're cueing entering the pose and exiting the pose and not just the pose. So let's put this into an example where we're going to practice cueing tabletop position to low lunge pose back to tabletop position. From tabletop position, inhale, reach your right leg back behind you. Exhale, draw your knee to your nose. Inhale, step your foot between your hands. Exhale, take your hands to your blocks on the tall height. Invitation to stay right here just like this, or inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, reach your chest forward and up. Inhale your hands all the way down to the ground to frame your front foot. Exhale, draw your right knee back to meet your left in tabletop position. So you see how you can easily apply this formula to cueing your students into the pose, in the pose, and then cueing your students out of the pose. So I hope this made cueing for you a little bit easier and gave you a simple formula to work off of. Let me know in the comment section down below if this was helpful. And if you want to dive way deeper into how to cue yoga poses, I cover this in depth in my 300-hour online yoga teacher training program. If you want to learn more about it and apply, you can check that out in the description down below.